What is up, everybody? We have a very successful night for the Sacramento Kings. I mean, you talk about a blowout, 137-114. The return of Tyrese Haliburton and Buddy Hield did not go well for those two guys. An absolutely beautiful basketball game from the Kings tonight. We're going to break this down. Nick Cattle's with you here, Sactown Sports, Kings Recap Show. Don't forget to leave your comments in the chat. Also, don't forget to like the broadcast as well. It's an easy effort thing from you guys. All you got to do is just like the broadcast. If you do that, it'll help us out with the content. And a lot of people will be absolutely viewing in on this thing. And we got to make sure that we're providing the content, more eyeballs. So please like the broadcast. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. So, all right, let's get started. Let's get started with this. I said it on the show today. I thought what we would see and what we would hear during the game tonight was an incredible atmosphere. And that's what we saw. We saw an incredible and we heard an incredible atmosphere from the fans at Golden One. And that should not be a surprise. The fans were ready from the jump. I said on today's show that I thought it would be like a playoff atmosphere. It would have that kind of vibe. It was loud. It was great. I was jealous that I could not be there tonight because I had to do this recap show from my man cave and in my home studio, but a tremendous atmosphere. And congratulations to all the Kings fans that showed up tonight. They got loud like we thought. Some of them had purple beam lights. I mean, it was beautiful to watch. It was a wonder to listen to. I thought the Kings fans were absolutely terrific tonight. So the atmosphere was exactly what we wanted it to be. We wanted this place loud. We wanted this place ready for Haliburton and Hield. In the place, G1C, Golden One Center, was absolutely ready for what they got tonight. And what they got tonight was, again, a fantastic performance from the basketball team. And we'll get into that thought, the team, the balance. But, man, it feels good to light the beam. It's been 3 games since we've been able to light that beam. And you heard the crowd at G1C tonight with about 6 minutes and 30 seconds left in this game because it was such a blowout. That crowd was chanting, "Light the beam." And yes, light the beam. The beam is back in the sky. Downtown Sacramento, lit up in purple because you got a victory. And not only did you get a victory, you got a blowout win, 137-114. So the most critical juncture of this game, other than just the start, the most critical juncture of this game to me was in the third quarter. Before we get into Haliburton, before we get into Hield, before we get into Fox, the most critical juncture of this game was the third quarter. And I know that you know what we're talking about, right? I've talked about the idea of these lulls that the Kings go through. And they went through a lull again in the third quarter. When you look at it, they were sitting there with a nice lead, right? A really, really nice lead. And all of a sudden, there was this charge from Indiana. And we've seen it before, right? The dreaded lull. You had stagnant offense, 4 turnovers. Jalen Smith, who left the game with a bloody lip and a bloody tongue. Jalen Smith had 18 points in the third quarter on 7 of 7 from the field. It was a 10-1 run by the Pacers, and that brought a 24-point lead down to 14. And that's the moment. That's the moment. That's when the Kings got checked, right? And how were the Kings going to respond? Were they going to respond from that lull with another lull, a continued lull, or would they respond with a haymaker back? This was the moment of the basketball game. Whatever happened following that 10-1 run by the Pacers was going to tell you how this game was going to end. And because we know now how the game ended, I bet you can guess how the following moments went after that lull. And it was a beautiful thing to see. You have that 10-1 run by the Pacers. You feel like the Kings kind of got punched in the face a little bit, right? It went from 24-14. You're thinking, man, the Pacers just beat the Lakers the other night after being down by 17 in the fourth quarter. You got to stop the bleeding somehow, some way. Domas then picks up his 4th personal foul. By the way, horse bleep call. That was a terrible call. Domas did not even touch the guy. Terrible call. But Domas picks up his 4th foul. He goes to the bench. So Domas goes to the bench. The Pacers are in the middle of this run. You get the flagrant one on Malik Monk to Jalen Smith. and the Pacers have all the momentum. But the key moment of this game was the much-needed haymaker that the Kings threw back and connected to the jaw, no pun intended, after that flagrant foul to the Pacers. That haymaker was a 12-2 run from the Kings in that third quarter. So the Kings were up by 24. Then they're up by 14. The Pacers have the momentum. How do you respond after Domas goes to the bench? After Monk gets the flagrant? You respond with a 12-2 run. And now you have a 22-point lead. So ipso facto, that 10-1 run by the Pacers that dropped your lead down to 14 meant absolutely nothing because you responded with a run of your own. It was fantastic basketball. What happened during that run? Well, we had a number of things. I thought Malik Monk did a fantastic job of dribbling in, becoming that playmaker. He found TD for a three. Big play. TD comes back, and he comes up with a steal, right? And he gives it to Herter for the dunk. During that run, De'Aaron Fox made a beautiful, we've seen it before, but that turnaround kind of elbow jump shot over Haliburton. And that was the run. It was Monk, it was TD, it was Herter, it was Fox. You have a 12-2 run. You have a 22-point lead, and I'm telling you, the game was over. The game was over. That haymaker response from the Kings ended this game in the third quarter. The Pacers lost their life at that moment. They made the run. They tried to fight back. The Kings fought back without Domas, and the Pacers had no answer. Fact. That's what happened. That's what happened. And you go into the fourth quarter with a big, gigantic lead. And I love the fact that the Kings had the big lead going into the fourth quarter, and they did not let up. They put their foot on the Pacers' throat. They came out in the fourth quarter. They were up by, I don't know how many, 50? Who knows at this point? But they walk into that fourth quarter, and they're up by 20-plus points, and there was no letting go of the rope. They go out there with the urgency. They put the foot on the throat of the Pacers, and this puppy was over. This puppy was over. Let's get to E-Man Scott 999 talking about Haliburton. So, look, I thought Haliburton looked a little shook tonight. He was completely out of sync. He looked a little indecisive. If you watched him, and I know all of you did here in Sacramento, he was usually not the most aggressive guy. He's been more aggressive. I talked about that on the show today on Sactown Sports, Cattles and Rami, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday. I talked about how Haliburton as a pacer has been much more aggressive. I thought he was almost over-aggressive tonight, trying to force his offense a little bit. He was out of sync all night long. He was not comfortable. He did not play great. His final numbers, he was 4 of 13 from the field. He was 1 of 6 from three-point land. He ended up with 9 points and 10 assists. He was really a non-factor for most of this game. And I thought Haliburton looked like he had some issues. He had some issues with, I think, the environment, the atmosphere, just walking back into Golden One, having all of those emotions. He did not handle it great, and he struggled mightily tonight. Buddy Hield, meanwhile, did not struggle. He didn't play bad at all. Got off to a slow start. The crowd, again, the atmosphere, they cheered. They cheered Haliburton when he was introed. I thought that's what would happen. I said that during the show today. They cheered Haliburton when he was introed. They absolutely booed Buddy Hield out of the building from beginning to end. From the intro to when the dude went to the bench, when he went to the bathroom. He probably had Kings fans following him to the bathroom in the tunnel to boo him while he was urinating. I mean, it was boo central for Buddy Hield. He played better than Haliburton, though. He finished with 17 and 4 shots, 6 of 13 from the field, 3 of 8 from three-point land. And, I thought, so if you're looking at the former Kings, I actually thought Buddy Hield played better than Tyrese Haliburton. And if you told me that earlier this morning, or if you told me that during the show today, I would have called you crazy. And I would have also told you that the Kings would win. And I don't know if I would have, predicted they would win by 23 points and be up by as many as 34 in this game, 32 points. Might not have predicted that, but I would have predicted a win if you told me Haliburton would kind of shrink in the moment. And I thought he did. He's had a tremendous season, but I thought he shrunk in the moment. I want to get to _probably right, because _probably right is not probably right. They're definitely right. By far the best defensive game we've played this season against a top 10 offense nonetheless. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, feel free at Nick C Radio. If you don't, just go to my Twitter at Nick C Radio tonight. If you're on Twitter, go to at Nick C Radio. And I took a video while I was watching the game in my living room tonight. I took a video of one possession. And that one possession was in the third quarter. And I think many of you know the possession I'm talking about. This possession was terrific. Absolutely freaking terrific. You had communication across the board. You had everybody rotating at the right time, and not only rotating, but rotating with urgency. And what I mean by that is they were scrambling, but they were scrambling with intent. They knew where they were supposed to go. They had strong closeouts, so the rotations were there. The communication was there. You had a couple of guys digging at the basketball when the Pacers were trying to drive and try to break that contain and get into the paint, right? And it ended up with a Harrison Barnes layup. That defensive possession is the best defensive possession of the season. At Nick C Radio, if you want to take a look at it, the video that I shot, that was the best defensive possession this basketball team has had all year. It was great from beginning to end. And I think the Pacers had 2 seconds left on the shot clock by the end of the possession, and they could not do anything. They could not do a thing. I agree with _probably right. Defensively, to me, this was the best game of the season. The first half was excellent. There were so many possessions that the Kings did things right defensively. I thought I was living in an alternate universe. I was looking around trying to figure out if this was 2022. I had no idea where I was. I was a little disheveled. I was a little confused. I couldn't quite understand when I was watching the Kings actually play this level of defense. I thought they were terrific defensively in that first half. They let go of the rope a little bit early on in that third quarter, and then they grabbed that rope back, and they held on to that rope strong. And that defensive possession that ended up with Harrison Barnes getting a layup on the other end was the best defensive possession I've seen this team have this season. So why was the defense better? I'll tell you a few things. First of all, pressure. We talk about ball pressure, right? Impact on the basketball. Are you defending on the perimeter? Are you defending at the wing positions? If you are applying pressure to the basketball, it's tougher for straight line drives. It's tougher to get into the paint for the drive and kick game to open threes. And it's going to help shut down the paint points, which we've seen kill the Kings this season. So you got ball pressure. That is huge. That's the first thing. They had urgency tonight. Again, guys were scrambling, but they weren't scrambling out of control. They were scrambling with urgency and intent. They knew where they were going. They knew why they were going there. They were attacking on the closeouts. They had their hands up. They were busy. So when you have pressure and you have urgency on the perimeter, you're going to make it inherently difficult for the offense to operate, because now you're really attacking their space and you're not allowing them to break down the first line of defense, so to speak. And we've talked about the Kings and the lack of big man depth and the lack of rim protection that they have. This is what we've been talking about on the show Monday through Friday. This is what I have mentioned a lot during this recap show. If you want the Kings to play better defense, it's going to start on the perimeter. It's going to start at the wing position. It's going to start with your guards and Fox and Monk and Davis and Davion. That's how you're going to slow offenses down. It is at the point of attack. So pressure, urgency, rotations, did a great job contesting shots. That's why this game, to me, was the best defensive game this team has had all year long. And I'm guaranteeing you right now, Mike Brown is going to talk to the team, and he is going to show several possessions of this game defensively, and he is going to highlight, this is what we're supposed to be doing. This is what I've been talking about. This is what we're driving for. This is what we're trying to accomplish as a defensive basketball team. So, I mean, you talk about some really good defense, some high-level stuff from a team that has not always been good defensively this year. You saw it tonight. Let's go to Michigan Wolverines. Congratulations on your big win, by the way, last weekend against the Ohio State. Nick, this bench unit reminds me a little of the old bench mob, but definitely more athletic. Before Thanksgiving, I talked about giving this bench a nickname. The winning listener had the Cavalry. Some of the other options were not as good. This bench is awesome. This team is deep. And that leads me to another reason why this team won, and not only won tonight, but they blew the Pacers out. In the first half, De'Aaron Fox again struggled. De'Aaron wasn't playing good basketball. He wasn't really assertive. He wasn't scoring. And we talked about this after the Suns game on the show. If you told me Devin Booker was going to drop like 45 points and De'Aaron Fox was going to struggle, as much as he did on Monday night, I would have told you the Suns would win running away. But the reason why they didn't was because of the other guys stepping up. It was the others stepping up, and that's what happened tonight. You had the balance. You had Malik Monk with 20 points off the bench. You had Terrence Davis with 15 points off the bench. You had Davion Mitchell and Chimezie Metu with 8 points each. This bench continues to produce, and if they continue to do that and you get what you hope to get from De'Aaron Fox, and we'll get into him a little bit later on and what I saw tonight from De'Aaron, and you get what you expect from Domantas Sabonis, man, my goodness. Bow. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly, but we didn't have Culture before. Culture just started this season. He wasn't wrong talking about Tyrese Haliburton. He wanted to instill culture. I would agree with that. Let's not forget Haliburton when he was talking about the culture and the struggles. He was talking about the team that he was on last season. This is a different team. It's a different coaching staff. Mike Brown has done a great job so far, starting to change and shift the culture. We talked to Doug Christie tomorrow on the show, by the way, at 5 p.m. Cattles and Rami will have Doug Christie on the show at 5 p.m. And I'm going to ask Doug about, the culture, what we saw tonight. But there's definitely a shift in the culture. You feel it. It's palpable. You see it. And, so what Haliburton was talking about was, the Walton situation. And, Alvin coming in and having to replace him, and what Haliburton had to go through when he first was brought into Sacramento, when, the team was bad and all of those things. So it was a little bit, different when you think context in what was going on. We got AA saying light the beam. Can't put that up. It's got a little bit of an acronym I might get in trouble for putting up. We see, let's bring this one up here. Floki to the moon. It was nice watching Fox and Mitchell shut down Hall and Hield. Yeah, I thought Hield played pretty well. Hallie was all over the place tonight. It was far from his best game. He struggled. Davion, can we just talk about Davion Mitchell for a minute? Can we talk about our guy, Davion Mitchell? Because the defensive effort from him, we've seen it all the time. We understand who he is and what he represents. But man, my guy, it was like he came into tonight's game with a mission. His mission was like, I'm going to make Tyrese Haliburton's world miserable tonight. I'm going to do whatever I can to make him miserable. I want him to go to bed with a headache, with a migraine. I am going to be that nudge. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue to attack him. Davion, defensively, we talk about this team defensively. It's, I know it's redundant when we talk about Davion and defense, but man, was Davion tremendous tonight defensively. I just thought it was awesome. Silent jumps in and says the same thing. I love Davion Mitchell's defense. Pasta of my domain. I love the name. Bring on the Clips. The Clips, of course, Saturday. I was a little heartbroken today. I thought that the Kings were playing the Clippers at Golden One on Saturday. I told Kelly that we were going to go to the game. I was all fired up for it. And then I found out when I went into work that the NBA, for some reason, is sending the Kings down to LA on Saturday afternoon to play, only to come back to Golden One on Sunday afternoon and play. It makes no sense to me. I was a little bit heartbroken there. Man, oh man, it was, it was a tough beat down for me personally. Ernesto Castillo says great defense. I agree. Chenzi jumping in 4,200. Light the beam. Absolutely light the beam. Erzlau comes in talking about this defense. Kings need consistent defense and a strong defensive leader on the perimeter to make Coach Brown's system work 100%. And I think it really begins with Fox, right? It begins with Fox. If Fox gives you that steady, consistent defense on the perimeter, and he is, kind of the point of attack, if he does, then everybody else does. Not only because, he's a guard and he's on the perimeter, but also because he's the team's best player. And when your team's best player steps up and gives you consistent defense and shows the urgency and shows the pressure and shows that consistency, when your best player does that, others fall in line. Others show up and they fall in line. So Fox, yes, he is the beginning of that chain. And I'll tell you, you saw it. You've seen it more this year than you have seen it in the past. Again, keep hammering the comments. It's the Sactown Sports Kings recap show here, talking Lakers, not Lakers. Lakers lost to the Pacers the other night. Talking Pacers, Kings, and the Kings, 137-114. Ryan and Sactown jumped in and said, Indiana looked tired, especially after a back-to-back and big win. Fox looks a step slow. Hopefully it's nothing serious. So I'm going to get to Fox a little bit later. I do think, Indiana on the back-to-back, look, you can say that there's no doubt Indiana felt it a little bit. And, we talked about how the Kings played in Atlanta on the back-to-back. And so you get some tired legs. But the Kings dominated right out the jump, right? I mean, usually you see those tired legs as the game goes on. I talked about this on the show. And Sanjay, I'll get to your question in a minute. But, I talked about this on the show the other day. When you look at net rating, the Kings in the first quarter net rating, -7. They were -7 net rating in the first quarter. They have struggled to get off to good starts. Tonight, you go into the second quarter up 33-20. So, yes, Indiana had some tired legs, no doubt. The back-to-back affected them. The big win last night, coming back from 17 down in the fourth quarter against LeBron and the Lakers. All of that is true. But you would have seen the tired legs more in the second half than right out the gates. And the Kings punched the Pacers in the throat in that first quarter, leading 33-20 going into the second quarter with the Baker's dozen. Again, we look at the balance of this team. I talked about the bench and Monk and TD. 7 guys in double figures tonight. You had 2 others that had 8 points. Mitchell and Metu had 8 points. So you were close to having 9 guys in double figures. And you would have had 9 guys in double figures if Mitchell and Metu played in the fourth quarter, which they didn't play a lot because it was such a smoke show. So, I mean, you could have had 9 guys in double digits. That's just that's a gigantic number. Let's also talk about, and I want to throw Sanjay's question up here. I want to get to that in a minute. But let's talk about Harrison Barnes first, because he was tremendous. Harrison Barnes showed out. He has been showing up a little bit more often. He had a really good game against Detroit, had a really good game against Memphis. He got quiet against Atlanta and Boston. But, man, tonight he was awesome. This is the HB that we want to see. This is the HB that we did not see for the first 8 to 10 games of this season. HB finished with 22-5. He shot 6 of 9 from the field. And here's the number that you need to know about Harrison Barnes. 9 of 10 from the free throw line. When Harrison is going to shoot 10 free throws, when you have 10 free throws from HB, that means he has been ultra aggressive. And we know that he isn't always ultra aggressive. That's the knock on HB. Sometimes he goes a little bit quiet offensively. Well, not tonight. He shot 10 free throws. He shot 10 free throws. And when you get 10 free throws from HB, that means that you're going to get the really good HB. All right, Sanjay, what can the team do to help Keegan? I think we've seen a little bit of it so far. They can't allow Keegan to just kind of hover around the three-point line and remain almost stagnant. And the offense for Keegan during this struggle is the fact that, he's heavily relied on DHOs from Domas and others. And he's also been kind of just standing around in the corner, waiting for the catch and shoot. What you've seen from Keegan a little bit more over the last couple of games, he's shown a little bit more life. He's cutting to the basket more. He's playing off of Domas more. He's attacking the basket off cuts, right? He's getting out in transition. He took advantage against Phoenix, against a couple of mismatches, which is great to see because you don't always see it. He got a smaller guy on him every once in a while against Phoenix, and he would actually get down in the paint, and he scored a couple of easy buckets. That's what's going to happen with Keegan. I mean, they've got to get Keegan involved offensively at times. They've got to get him involved early. They have to try to mix it up and not have him be so stagnant at the three-point line. cutting, getting out on the fast break, and also posting up when you get switches and smaller players, you have that advantage. So, I think those are some of the things that you can do to help Keegan Murray out offensively. But he's just got to be better. I mean, he's got to be better, too. He's got to shoot the ball better. Silence says Hallie's technical foul was nice to see. Michigan Wolverines brought this up about Keegan go back to the bench possibly. It's an interesting question. I was going to bring it up the other day, but I'm kind of waiting to see how he responds, if he can finally get it going. I don't know if you want to bring Monk into the starting lineup because he's been so awesome off the bench. I mean, Monk has been so terrific with his offensive punch and playmaking off the bench. I don't know if you want to mess with that element. I don't want to mess with Monk as the sixth man, moving into the starting lineup. The one person you might look at is TD. Would you bring Terrence Davis in and play Fox with Davis in the backcourt and slide Herter to the 3? I think that is something that they could look at. My gut, though, tells me that Mike Brown will wait a while longer. I mean, this team is in good shape. I know they just got off of a 3-game losing streak, but I talked about it on the show on Tuesday. I was not concerned about that 3-game losing streak. Atlanta on a back-to-back. They played at Boston. The Celtics have been the best team in the NBA. And then, on Monday night, Fox didn't play well. Booker had an out-of-body experience, which, again, he had tonight when he dropped the 50-burger. Devin Booker's been just crazy. So I wasn't too worried about that 3-game losing streak. I think Mike Brown, we've talked about this on Sactown Sports, 3 to 6, Rami and Cattles, Monday through Friday. We've talked about this on the show. Mike Brown's a big picture guy. When he's talked about taking 5-game snapshots, he's talked about, there are winning streaks, there are losing streaks. And I think Brown, overall, big picture, has to be happy with this team. So I think he's going to be really patient with any kind of dramatic move. But if Keegan continues to struggle the way he has struggled, then yes, you have to do something, because at that point, you have to almost save the player. And so you have to do something different with him eventually if it doesn't turn around. Cassie Sheely had been saying trade Buddy for so long, was really glad when we did, but did he deserve the disrespect from the crowd tonight? We treated him like Bagley. So Cassie, I thought that he would be booed tonight. I thought Buddy would be booed. I didn't have a problem with Buddy being booed. First of all, when you pay for a ticket, you can do whatever you want as long as you don't cross the line. You want to boo a player, boo a player. You want to share a player, share a player. It's your hard-earned money. Do what you want to do. You paid for the ticket. Again, as long as you're not racist or ridiculous or talking about people's personal lives and families, and don't cross the line. Don't be that person. But you can boo or cheer whoever you want. I'm not surprised about Buddy getting booed. And I talked about it on the show today. Buddy, he didn't act appropriately, at least to me, before he got traded last season. He was talking to Jeannie Buss and smiling and laughing when they played in LA. When they played against, the Clippers or whatever, or no, it was the 76ers when they played, he's shaking hands with Doc Rivers. They got blown out against the Celtics in Boston last year by like 60, and he's out there after the game. He's kind of like dancing around and joking around. And I remember specifically, Cassie, when we had Alvin Gentry on the show last year, and I asked Coach Gentry, have you talked to Buddy Hield about some of his activity after games and during games? And Coach Gentry made it very clear that he had talked to Buddy, and he said it was now up to the players to kind of talk to Buddy. So I think a lot of fans saw that as disrespectful from Buddy Hield last year. And I know a lot of people love Buddy. He's a very likable guy. I don't know him personally. I know he's obviously got some friends. I thought the broadcast team tonight was, very nice to him. Mark Jones and Katie were very, very nice to Buddy Hield. But I thought last year there were some instances where, he might as well just come out and say, get me the heck out of Sacramento. I'm tired of this place. I should have been traded to the Lakers. I wanted to be traded to the Lakers. And I thought like his comportment at times wasn't great. So I think that's why he got booed. Chenzi 4200 says, Metu had a great game. Sabonis got into foul trouble. Yeah, I think Metu's been awesome. I mean, I really do think Metu has been really, really good in his role. Metu playing small ball 5 has been a revelation for this team, and he's really kind of saved them when you think about it. They're not getting anything from Rashawn Holmes. They're not getting anything from Alex Len. Those guys do not have the foot speed or the rim protection ability to be able to switch defensively and do what Coach Brown wants them to do. Metu's ability to slide in and play the 5, give you some defense, be a lob threat. I think Metu has quietly been very, very effective in his role ever since he was put into, the small ball 5 role. So I think he's been really, really good. I mean, I think he's been really, really good. I think, as long as he stays away from the 3-point line, because as we know, he's not the greatest 3-point shooter in the history of the world. And I know he wants to try to make defenses be honest and all that good stuff, but I think he's been really good in that role. I think he's been tremendous in that role. By the way, people reminded me that the Pacers played the Lakers on Monday, so this was not a back-to-back. You are right. It's been a long week. I've been doing solo shows. So you are right. It wasn't even a back-to-back. So bad point by everybody all around. Brian Goodner says, we just had a blowout win, and you Debbie Downers are complaining about Keegan. Look, I think you can make certain observations and wonder how you can get Keegan to play better. That's certainly within the rules of this game. Be happy with the blowout win, but you also want to see the 4th pick overall in the draft find a way to impact this team positively. And he's been in the middle of a long, long struggle. So I think it's fair to, just wonder, what's going on with, with him and how you can fix him. I don't think anybody in this chat is bashing him. It's more, hey, how can we get Keegan to play a little bit better? How can we get him going? And I think it's a legitimate question to ask, and it's something that they've got to do. Let's talk about this comment here from J. Lopez AA. Malik has been huge for the Kings. Man, oh man, I talked about him yesterday on the show. His 30 points and 8 assists against the Suns on Monday night. He had another 20-point effort tonight. He's been awesome. I mean, I've got absolutely 0.0 concern about Malik Monk so far. I mean, he has been the spark plug, the microwavable offense off the bench. He has been the perfect 6th man for this team. His playmaking, he told Rami and I media day that he thought his playmaking got overlooked by a lot of people. I agree. I did not think he was this kind of playmaker. He is a tremendous playmaker. The play he made during that big run for the Kings in the 3rd quarter, when he kind of dribbled in and broke and penetrated into the paint, and then he kind of dribbled back around to sling it to TD for a wide open 3, that is elite playmaking. The 2-man game we saw from Monk with Domas on Monday night, that's elite playmaking. And he is scoring the ball at will. And once he knocks down a couple of threes, he gets that rhythm. Monty McNair, fantastic offseason. That includes what they've done with Malik. Malik has been he's just tremendous. Elizabeth George, light the beam. Indeed, Elizabeth, we are lighting the beam tonight. And, I don't know how much you can cry or complain about tonight's game. Muhammad, we talked about this a little bit earlier as he jumps in. Crowd was crazy electric tonight. Best crowd I've ever experienced. Yeah, I mean, I felt it through the TV. I had to be here to do the recap show at home, but I felt it through the TV. I thought it sounded like a playoff atmosphere. I don't know if it was, but it certainly sounded like a playoff atmosphere to me. I thought from the jump, just incredible. White Unicorn talks about Mathurin. Yeah, he's averaging 20 points a game right now. Again, we tend to grade drafts quickly and, in a vacuum. I think we will see how this draft shapes out. Give it 2 or 3 years, and then we can make, observations saying, man, if they drafted that guy, this would have happened. This could have happened. But right now, Mathurin, statistically has been the best rookie scoring wise. He's a shot creator. He does a lot of good things, and you saw that. So, when you look at some of these rookies, it's a really good rookie class. Chenzi 4200 helping us out. Yes, little effort. Everybody hit that like button. Hit the like button for us. The more likes we get, this is how the crazy social media algorithm works. The more likes we get, the more people actually see this on YouTube, and they can click on it and view it. We just, you just don't randomly just throw it out there and it works like that. So to get more views and to get more people as part of this, as part of this community, the way we do that is we hit that like button. So if you can do that for us, we appreciate it. Jesse_916 again says super electric crowd tonight. Just absolutely super electric, no doubt. I thought that the crowd was tremendous. The team was tremendous. The game was tremendous. 137-114. I do want to mention Fox here quickly. Look, Fox struggled mightily for 3 games in a row. In the first half, he did not play great basketball. I thought in the second half, he played much better, and he finished with 19, 5, and 6. He was very efficient, 7-11 from the floor. He was 1 of 1 from 3. I thought he did a better job in the second half picking his spots. Here's the one thing I do notice, though, about De'Aaron is he doesn't have the same explosion. And I think we've all kind of seen that. And I know that the team came out the other day and talked about general soreness and that, he hasn't practiced all the time here. I talked to Jason Ross today on the show, and he said it seems like he's dealing with something. And tonight, I thought you could see that. I'm not saying that he lacks athleticism right now. What I'm saying is we've seen De'Aaron long enough. He has that fifth gear. He's a super freak when it comes to speed and athleticism at his size. He has that extra gear, that fifth gear. He doesn't have that right now. I don't know if it's a knee. I don't know if it's a back. I don't know what it is. He took a shot to the quad tonight. I don't know what it is, but the explosiveness is not quite there right now. And I think you see at times some hesitancy, taking it to the bucket. You see some hesitancy, attacking downhill and really, getting after the rim and attacking the rim. So that's something to keep an eye on. And hopefully, he comes around and, he feels a little bit better with some treatment. But that was absolutely something I noticed tonight was, Fox did not have the same type of explosiveness. Let's keep an eye on it. Some other numbers. 3 is more than 2. I'm a mathematician. I'm a math genius. 3 is more than 2. In the first half, with Fox struggling a little bit, not scoring a lot, how did you survive? You survived because of balance. I mean, first half balance, ladies and gentlemen, you want to talk about the balance. In the first half, HB had 13. Sabonis had 9. Fox had 8. Monk had 7. Murray, Herter, and Terrence Davis all had 6. That's balance. And that's how you lead at halftime 62-48 when your best player scores 8 points. The other thing, of course, defensively, we talked about it. Also, 3 is more than 2. First half, the Kings were 10 of 29 from three-point land. They took 29 threes. That's a big, big number. The Pacers were 5 of 21. So you were plus 15 at the three-point line. So better defense, really good defense, best defense of the year that we've seen this season. I mean, at least to me, it was the best defensive effort of the year, 4 quarters long from this team tonight. Balance across the board scoring for you to help out Fox and help out Domas at times. Your bench was, again, incredible. And you were out shooting the Pacers by a plus 15 margin from the three-point line, which obviously helps. Other numbers. This was with 124 left. I don't know if anything was added because I had to get ready for the recap show. 31-8 fast break points. What? That's insane. They had 28 assists. This is just a common occurrence now. I mean, these assist numbers have been just through the roof for the Kings this year. And they were plus 13 on the rebounds. Plus 13 on the rebounds, which is something else. Which is something else that you see. So that'll do it for us. I got to run. I'm gassed. I did a 2.5-hour solo show today. We appreciate and love all of you. Light the beam, 137-114. Kings absolutely smoke out Tyrese Haliburton, Buddy Hield, and the Indiana Pacers. Don't forget to press the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to Sactown Sports Kings Recap Show. Again, we appreciate every single one of you. Let's continue to build this community. Let's continue to chat, and let's continue to win. Because winning is fun. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night. Kings victorious, 137-114. It was a great night and a great crowd. I'll talk to you later at Nick C Radio on Twitter.